channel Open Your Mind, where we explore spirituality in a modern day context. Now, as a huge animal lover, I'm so excited about this video, which is all about animal telepathy or communication with animals. I'm in conversation with the lovely Manjiri Lately, who's been my teacher on the subject and the founder of Earthwise. On this super fascinating three-part series, Manjiri tells us all we need to know about animals, telepathy, and spirituality. If you find these conversations valuable, please do hit the subscribe button below, comment, like, and share this video. Okay, hi Manjiri, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Devina, for having me here.
So, Manjiri, today we're going to discuss a really fascinating topic, which is animal telepathy or communication with animals. And I actually came to know of this amazing practice, which is something that you teach thanks to a dramatic situation I was in where I have two little cats, two little monsters. One of them ran away. What I was advised to do is to contact an animal communicator to help me in my quest to find them. And that's how I stumbled upon animal communication. And to be honest, when I heard it, you know, even an animal lover like myself, I was completely disbelieving. I thought it sounded completely unrealistic. But then within a few months, I managed to do a course with you and found out quite the opposite is true of the practice. So maybe we can just start at the beginning, the premise of the entire practice, which is telepathy. Right? Can we understand a little bit what exactly telepathy and telepathic communications means?
Absolutely. So if we look at the phrase telepathy, let's split it up into tele and pathos. Okay, so tele implies long distance. So if you see a lot of other parallel references we have, like you have a telephoto lens, you have a telephone, where tele implies over a long distance, or where necessarily the two individuals may not be in the same physical context, so to say. And pathos actually comes from a Greek word, which comes or stems from empathy, implying our five senses. So our five senses act as gateways to start receiving information. So telepathy is receiving information from a long distance. So you could be in physical proximity with the person, or you could be miles away. It's really irrelevant to the distance you have, because it's anyway, your senses act as the mediums.
What you've mentioned is this is a style of communication amongst people, but what we are in conversation about and what you practice and you have an institution for is animal telepathy. So now how do we put into the context of animals, human to animal communication, that is?
Great. So let's go with a basic concept of physics, okay? That energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It's only changing form, right? So today you could be in a human form, tomorrow it could be an animal form, it could be a tree, a landscape. So the form is really irrelevant to the fact that it's soul energy that is in connection, communication with each other. And so whether it's an animal you're speaking with or it's a human you're in communication with, it's really wouldn't matter. It's seamless in any case. And this is something that is very innate. We're all born with this. The only truth or the reality of our society today is these things are not taught to us in schools. Or it is not inculcated as a part of our belief systems growing up, that this is natural, this is something that we all have, and that we should flex that muscle a little bit more and start using that a little bit more. Unfortunately, it's not inculcated, but it's never too late. The day and the moment in which somebody realizes that, oh, I have this within me and I have unknowingly anyway been practicing it, people can come around really quick, and it's one breath in which, you know, pathways and gateways open up again. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you've said so many interesting things right now. So first of all, saying that we need to learn to flex that muscle. What exactly are we talking about? It's basically sixth sense, right? That's how you call it simply.
Yes, we can call it a sixth sense, but let's simplify even the concept of the sixth sense, because five senses are what we have specific organs for in the body, or we've correlated it to organs, and thus we say we can quantify it, right? The sixth sense can't necessarily be quantified according to modern science or scientific methods. So a lot of people disregard it. But the beauty is the sixth sense or intuition is something that manifests itself as one of the five senses.
Wow.
Implying that, let's say you have this gut feeling, which actually is where our real brain is. Our gut is where our real brain exists, okay?
Yeah.
So if you have this gut feeling or you have this intuitive message coming through, it will manifest through one of these five gateways. So it will either be an internal image, it will either be a sound in your head or a conversation you're overhearing in your head. It could be a bodily sensation, it could be a change of taste, or when people say, I smell something fishy.
Yeah.
So it will manifest as one of these five senses.
Oh.
So it's not standalone. It will use these five gateways or this PATHOS to reach and communicate with you. And all of us have a gut feeling, a sixth sense, something as simple as when a phone call comes in, you know whether you want to answer it or not answer it, depending on whether you recognize who it is or you don't recognize who it is. When we meet an individual, they either rub us the wrong way or we get along with them beautifully and seamlessly. This is again intuition telling us whether that person's intention is in alignment with you or not. So there are a lot of people who will say this does not exist, but they're unknowingly still using it and using the guidance from their gut. Yeah.
Basically, what you're saying is that we are practicing in some form this ability to connect with, telepathically connect. We're actually kind of practicing it in different ways all the time. We all have it within us. So it's not a practice that's meant only for some people, or it's a special gift that you're born with.
Whether we acknowledge it or not, we have it. So if we're anyway born with it, we may as well make use of it. It's like as easy and simple as breathing. While you're still alive, inhalation and exhalation is anyway going to happen. The same is with telepathy. So it's as simple as that, really. Yeah.
Wow. Right. And like you so rightly said, this is the kind of skill or ability or information that you don't learn in school. Definitely not. You actually don't learn it through any process of your life, I think, unless you're seeking it.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
So if you see a lot of our schooling system, the way our society has, especially post-industrialization, everything has to filter into a paying job. Everything has to filter into, things that you can quantify that are materialistic. Okay. And this is as non-materialistic as can be, because we are so aligned with, so even when somebody says they have achieved something in life, or a child is asked, what would you want to be when you grow up? Very rarely does a parent also say, or a child say, that I want to be a good human being when I want to grow up, right? Everything is, I want to grow up and become this doctor, this engineer, I want to have this car, I want to have this bungalow. So everything is very materialistic, if I may use that word to describe this. And I think because we are now tailor-made according to that affluence or growth is measured by these things rather than a spiritual growth or a growth in sheer awareness of what we have. I think that is where a realignment is actually required. And probably the messengers to get us better realigned are four-legged or have roots. These are the messengers that are getting us more aligned with saying, even if you're not taught in schools, no worries. Even if you're not formally taught it, no worries. I'm here sharing space with you in your house, and I will handhold you into becoming more aware or listening to your intuition. And that could be one way of looking at it.
Wow. Yeah. Fascinating that most of the time the messages you get from your animals or other people's animals are really maybe not even really connected to your questions in the first place. There's always fascinatingly such a much larger context to what they are saying. something that you could not even imagine animals to have that capacity for. Like recently, I got help from one of the communicators to talk with one of my cats, and who is unwell. But most of the messages that came out were things like, look after your dad's health. You've been seeking so much. You must do this. You must do that. Isn't it? I mean, that's what comes out through these communications.
Very true, very true. And there is also a reason for that, Devina. The fact is that, like we discussed earlier, these animals come as messengers to get us more aligned with our life purposes, and their only aim is to help us become a better version of ourselves. Okay, what you were yesterday, if you are aspiring to do something or you're working on something, they will help pave the way for you to fast track that journey, so to say. There is another concept, you probably have heard of it, of non-duality. Okay, and which basically means that there is no dichotomy. Everything is one. There is it's been more come into the mainstream after Adi Shankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta, the work of Advaita Vedanta, and non-duality gets discussed greatly. Buddhism discusses non-duality, which actually means that the animal and you are anyway one. There is no split to begin with. So when the animal gives you messages or acts as a messenger that take care of so and so's health, or take care of your own health and well-being, or what you're doing is the right path, it's actually our higher self which is giving us that message, and the animal is that mere medium. So the fact a lot of the time emerges that these animals are only meant to give us what we are meant to receive from our own higher self. And probably because we may not be fully open to receive what we are getting from, and I give this as a direction because a lot of it seems to come entering from this chakra into the body, getting us here. The animals are a path of least resistance. So what comes through an animal, we a lot of the times are very open to receive. It's the path of least resistance, as it said. So yeah, it's an extension of our higher self. So whatever messages they're giving are what we ought to listen to, our higher self anyway.
When you say theirs is the path of least resistance, do you mean that's kind of connected with the lack of ego? Is that what it is, basically?
Probably. So if you have heard the work of Esther Hicks, or Abraham Hicks, and there is a beautiful video that they have an entire transcript about communication with animals, or animals in our lives, right? And Abraham Hicks speaks of this very, very interesting concept. He said, we ask for example, he says, we ask for unconditional love. Okay, and unconditional love, when it is presented to us in a human form, our ego comes in, or we suspect and doubt that this individual probably has some vested interest. What is the reason that he's showering me with so much unconditional love? Okay, so it is all around us. We've asked for it. Seek and you shall receive. We've asked for it. It's around us. But there is a lot of resistance, which could be ego state, like you're saying, that is stopping us from receiving it. Which is the crack in which there is least resistance is animals. Because we just, there is no concept of ego with an animal for most people. Okay. So love and forgiveness or unconditional love is coming to us anyway, just that the medium and the path is slightly different and realigned. Then it is the animals that are getting us those messages or giving that to us, which we may not be fully open to receive in a human form.
Wow, that's incredible. For those who are skeptical, which of course there are many such people, but I believe there are all kinds of scientific proofs as well, though, for this phenomena, aren't there? Tests connected with discoveries in quantum physics, the morphic fields. It's all connected with telepathy or animal telepathy, isn't it? Can we discuss that?
Absolutely. there is a school of noetic sciences in the US,
Yes.
okay, where two individuals whose work is greatly published and studied, one of whom is Dr. Rupert Sheldrake,
Yes.
okay, and the other individual is Dr. Dean Radin. Right.
Yes.
Both of their work is greatly researched. They have given an entire timeline of how telepathy, what was the earliest references. So 1920s and 1930s were some of the earliest times where physicists started identifying a lot of phenomena around us. All right. It is actually even said that people like Newton and Einstein themselves, a lot of what they were receiving was coming from far beyond them. Right. And they didn't say that it is me. Nikola Tesla never really said that what I'm putting forth is me. He always said it is coming from far beyond me. I'm a mere medium.
Like channeling the knowledge.
Exactly. Just acting as a channel, as a medium, and surrendering to something flowing through you, right? However, what happened is the scientific community itself kept questioning this. Where is this coming from? How can you quantify? What can you put down? So Dr. Rupert Sheldrake and Dean Radin both got down to some hardcore experimental evidences.
Right.
All right. Yes. And it comes from quantum mechanics, also called as quantum physics.
Yes.
Right. And Dean Radin actually has come up with this phrase of entangled minds.
Right.
That they're all entangled minds and it's a quantum chaos, but the word chaos for us refers to as something that's chaotic, that means you can't put your finger on anything. But in actuality, it's the beautiful phenomena that have been documented. Something as simple as the concept of the extended mind.
Yes.
Meaning, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake has done experiments where there is the feeling of being stared at. Okay, now you could be facing in a certain direction, but if somebody is staring at you from another angle and staring as if not glancing, but staring, you already know that someone is probably staring at you. And even in a crowd, you typically turn to that angle, and of course, you'll have somebody either ogling at you or staring at you. That's the extended mind that goes beyond the brain or the commonly known brain perception.
You mean that knowing that you're being stared at.
Exactly. The experiments have gone to a degree where, people on security cameras, his team has done that. If there are shoplifters that are picking up something from shops and there is somebody watching them on a security camera, just think about this. They're ogling at them or reprimanding them intentionally through the security camera per se, and this individual knows that probably somebody is watching me and they've put the object back and walked out.
Wow.
This has also been quantified. A lot of entangled mind phenomena has been quantified, how meditation has been helping, how the extended mind can gather information, non-duality. So there is enough evidence, so to say. And if you go on to their Noetic Sciences website, that's a US-based thing, there is a plethora of experiments that are ongoing, that have already been conducted, and you can even actively participate in these experiments if you so wish to.
Wow, that's amazing. Great. So for anyone who's curious, this is a great starting point. I suppose.
Absolutely.
More than curious, maybe skeptics, this is a great starting point because people do tend to hold stronger to science and proofs than maybe their inner knowing.